Devil in a red dress. Call 911, I'm a killer. You know I hate to confess. Bang, bang, got my hand on the trigger. The devil in a red
Picking quarrels and provoking trouble. What does that mean?
We are introducing a typical Chinese law with Chinese characteristics, very vague and opaque, which the Chinese police likes to use when they have no reasons to arrest Chinese citizens.
So if it seems kind of vague, it might be that way on purpose.
And it is, I'm sure it is.
Yeah. For example, here we have a video from an activist, and the title says Beijing 抗议青年, or Beijing Youth and Revolt, basically youth protesters. Let's have a look.
This is Zhao Zixin. She is a 26-year-old editor from China.
当大家看到这段视频时，我已经被警察带走了，就像我的其
So it seems like this was released after she was detained by the police in Beijing, because that's what she's saying in the video. If you're watching this, then I have already been detained, like my other friends.
It was pre-recorded in case she would
Right,
be arrested.
understand. And she's the editor of Peking University Press. So let's keep going.
他几位朋友一样。
On November 27, 2022, she and her friends attended a memorial for the victims of a fire during China's zero-COVID policy. This movement is now known as the White Paper Protests. The women were summoned by the police and released, but 2 weeks later, they started disappearing one by one. Cao went missing 6 months ago, on December 24, 2022. The charge? Picking quarrels and provoking trouble.
Okay, there we go. And you can see that some of them, they were literally holding white pieces of paper.
Yeah, it was the white paper movement.
Kind of seems like taking a cue from the Russian form of protest, you know, which
Yes,
the
yes.
joke would go, "Зачем буквы? Все ясно. Why would you need any letters? Everything's clear, obvious."
I was thinking it was a joke until like last year when the protests
Yes,
in China
yes.
were because of the lockdowns, and people were holding just white pieces of paper and they were just taken by the police. And then I understood it's not a joke; it's a reality.
Yeah, I mean, how can you arrest people for that? You know, it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, because this is a terrible regime, oppressive regime that controls everything. Like these feminist movements, it's not the first time that some feminists were arrested. In 2015, there was a group of 5 women, March 6, 2015. They were outside and they were protesting for some human rights on International Women's Day in Beijing. And
So something that China recognizes, obviously.
it's celebrated, it's widely
Yes,
celebrated.
yes, exactly.
Around whole China. It's a big day. So these 4 or 5 feminists went outside protesting against some violence against women, and they were apprehended, they were sent home, and after that they were picked one by one, and they were arrested, and they are in prison right now.
Wow. On these
Yeah.
charges, yeah, or at least they have been detained on these charges, and yeah, maybe they've been tried on these charges according to the law.
Picking quarrels and stirring up trouble, or picking quarrels and making trouble, sounds like some kind of breaking of some basic regulations, but it's not. It is a crime under the law of the PRC.
Right. So not
And
something for with an administrative punishment of maybe a fine and a couple weeks in jail, but something that you can go to court for.
no, it carries a maximum sentence of 5 years.
Wow.
It replaced the former offense of hooliganism in 1997. And yeah, basically it says, text of the law says, whoever undermines public order with any one of the following provocative and disturbing behaviors is to be sentenced to no more than 5 years of mixed term imprisonment. who willfully attacks another person, who is chasing, intercepting, or cursing another person, who's forcibly taking away, demanding, or willfully damaging or seizing public or private property. And number 4, which is very, very commonly used is creating a disturbance in a public place causing serious disorder. Like, remember when we played the video of the poor Chinese girl wearing Japanese kimono in the streets of Suzhou?
Right, yeah.
On the streets where are lots of Japanese restaurants, and she's asking because somebody just picked on her, and the policeman goes like, she's asking like, what law am I breaking? And the policeman says, picking quarrels.
I see. So he knows what to say by now.
Yeah,
Right,
because
got
every
it.
policeman says that. It's very commonly used. And what kind of, it's like I'm standing on the street, imagine, I'm standing on the street, somebody comes to me for any reason and slaps me on the face, and the policeman comes and arrests me that I was in a fight. I was in a fight that somebody else started for no reason, literally no reason, but I get arrested. This is what the Chinese police does. They don't arrest the people that start the quarrels. They finish the people they are targeting. They are like the reason for the quarrels, no matter that they are not breaking any law.
I see. You know what you gotta be? You gotta be careful, and gotta make sure you call the police first. if that helps.
Yeah. Last year, 2022, Zhu Zhengfu was a delegate of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, and he said, this law, the legal ambiguity breeds room for selective law enforcement, damages the public's legal interests, and undermines judicial credibility. He was so right.
So the legislators, they were a little critical of this.
One.
Okay, okay, yeah. Let's not use plural in this case.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him.
One made it vocal. Let's put it that way.
Yes. Right. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, let's have a look over here. I mean, what can we see here? Here is this is from the BBC, yeah, and this is about reporting, how journalists were not supposed to report on certain things.
This is a court outside of the court where lots of 2015 again.
Yeah.
So Xi Jinping is already ruling with his iron fist, and all these European diplomats and all these journalists gather outside of this court when the most prominent human rights lawyers went on trial, and they are accused of inciting ethnic hatred and picking quarrels and provoking troubles. They were detained in May 2014, and the protesters are manhandled by security officials outside of the court, of course.
Let's see it.
And you can see the plainclothes policemen, a lot of uniformed policemen as well, moving the journalists away from the front of the court. There is huge interest in this trial. We've seen a number of representatives of the European embassies turn up, asking for access, asking for further status.
They're covering the camera.
To witness the trial that many are seeing as a symbol of this government's crackdown under President Xi Jinping on freedom of speech and the ability of lawyers like Hu Jichang on trial today, one of this country's best known defenders of human rights, and the ability of people like that to speak out. He's essentially on trial today for a number of tweets that he sent, basically poking fun at the Communist Party, poking fun at a number of figures in the party, and asking questions too about China's policies in Xinjiang, suggesting, or at least asking the question as to whether the harsh crackdown there is in some way responsible for the violence. A lot of people, a lot of independent observers suggesting that the content of those tweets are nothing more than commentary, the kind of thing you'd expect in any system, people asking questions. But the party authorities here have seen it as serious enough to put him on trial, and the charges on which he stands could get him 8 years in prison. Observers we've spoken to suggest there is very, very little chance, if any, of an acquittal today.
Well, yes, because under Chinese law, if you, well, not under Chinese law, but under the Chinese judicial system, if you get sent to trial, there's probably more than 99% of you being found guilty.
Yes, more than 99%.
Yeah. So
You will be
makes the system look good, like, yeah, you know, but you know, then again, how is that fair? You know, some crimes get get prosecuted and some don't. Some don't even make it to trial. And this is obviously this is a farce.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was about
Yeah, so this is what they are doing to the diplomats and foreign journalists. What they are doing to the local people is much, much worse. You would disappear. If you are Chinese journalist, you will disappear forever. If you are an ordinary person,
Yeah, I don't
you
know.
disappear.
Yeah.
Terrible things. They get beaten up, you disappear.
You can see here in the video they removed them behind these sorts of blue barricades.
Yeah, but why? For no reason. Just to show, just to scare them. This is for scaring them.
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, do we have anything more? This is also from the BBC. This is how the BBC was stopped from visiting China independent candidate.
Just let me say, these are the good times. These times in 2015, 2016
this
is
is
still like
2016.
after Hu Jintao. Still people, they believe that China is changing for better, but it had already started this repression and control of everything. These are the good times. So these people, they wouldn't be able to do something like this now.
Think of the bad times then.
Now there are bad times.
So China is holding its district elections. Yeah. And, you know.
The only elections where Chinese people can go and vote. They can vote their local leader, like the community leader where they live. That's all they can vote for.
Basically low-level elections.
Exactly.
Not the election decisions to the higher echelons of
Can
power.
you explain what you're doing?
Because those occur only within the party.
Yes. So these are thugs hired by the local police.
With an invitation to speak to this woman who is simply trying to exercise her legal right to stand for election, and straight away
They often are, yeah.
these plainclothed policemen, we can only assume is what they are, have blocked our way into her house.
It could just be police, but
I was going to try and knock on.
They work with the police.
yes, that is for sure. Yeah.
They do some dirty work for them, and the police protects them. This is ridiculous.
It's such a show. We get the door open. Oh, okay, there we go.
Miss Liu, hello.
What's going
We're
on?
hoping we can come in and talk to you.
Poor woman.
Oh, come in, please.
Excuse me, I think we have permission to go in and.
How?
Chinese hospitality. Yeah.
Who are these people?
This is Chinese hospitality.
She says, I don't know who that is.
This is China.
刘女士，您为什么
There
要
is
在
no law. No
因为我
law
愿
in
意参
China.
选，这是我
China
的
is a
权利。
lawless country.
So since she's trying to participate in the election.
She's a good woman.
And now they close the door. Okay.
That's it.
She's got a baton.
What is it?
Looks like a police baton.
Baton.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you can see now. He's got police boots as well. So this is, you know, someone
我
from
要
the
把我的门
police.
开开，你们怎么了？
Why can't I open my
因为这是我
door?
的权利。
Saying this is my right.
No,
They
you have
covered
no
the window.
rights. No rights in China. They should cover the window, nail the door, and burn the house.
You've no right to stop us from it.
Be a pilot. Don't film.
走吧。
So far. Go.
So China has made huge capital out of what it sees as the farce and the circus of the US election, the huge effort and expense that goes into an artificial choice. But what we can see here quite clearly is the huge effort and expense that China puts in to stopping people exercising their democratic rights.
It says here that according to the Chinese constitution, all citizens, you know, aged over 18, enjoy the right to vote and to stand.
Yes.
In theory, right?
In theory.
手臂夹着手臂往出，
Communist
会不
Party
会呀？
leader comes. Somebody who
手臂靠
was
额嘛，往出轻它就完事儿了呗。
So this guy is giving them instructions, like, you know,
就这点事儿，也别推它，也别碰它，直接往出轻
don't
它。
push them, don't touch them, just, you know, kind of try to remove them
There's
somehow.
absolutely no way through. Probably 20-25 men
idiot.
outside this house.
It looks ridiculous. Yeah.
There's absolutely no way to get to it.
Sorry.
Sorry. We have permission.
Sure, now they're covering the camera. Yeah, and again, there we go.
So this is democracy Chinese style. A large group of thugs pushing us away, and we've no choice but to leave. The woman inside, hoping to stand for election, won't be able to do this interview.
Maybe she can't even stand for the election if she can't get out of the house, right?
This guy, if he was Chinese, he would be so arrested for kicking police.
Could be, yeah. I mean, it would still be on camera, you know.
5 years in prison.
Did they try to stay there for half an hour, and did it? Now it's getting uglier.
Yeah, because they blocked the camera out. Now he's getting punched.
Pushing them, yeah, pushing them away. Yeah.
Intimidation. This is 2016. Still not bad.
Well,
Not great times, you know.
yeah, not
Not the worst times.
but not great either. Let's see. Here we have some another example. Yeah, BBC
this
returns to the
return-
would-be candidate. Yeah.
After the elections.
Yeah, so this is about 5 days later. That was the previous footage was from November November 19th. This is from November 24th, 2016. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, same place. If we're trying to go back again. What, it's been demolished?
Yes, the house has been demolished. Yeah. You know how it's
Oh no,
in China.
the door. Wait.
Well,
No,
it's a very
it's still
different
there.
scene this time
No,
round.
demolished, but
When
they're
we were here
demolishing the
last time, what
houses
we
to
witnessed
build
was an
apartment buildings.
extraordinary
yeah.
demonstration of the need for a one-party state to use force to maintain its monopoly on power, even
And
against
she's
a
fighting for her
lone
house.
would-be independent candidate in a local
not
election.
easy.
Who are these people?
This is from the old footage.
Ah.
Yeah, then they block their way.
因为我认为参选这是我权。
Let me fast forward a little bit, and yeah, this is 5 days later.
Well, Beijing's elections are now over, which is why
So see,
of course,
her house
the
is
thugs
still
have
standing
gone.
because she was
Job done
fighting
for
for her
them.
house.
But we wanted to give Liu Huijian another
was the
chance
reason
to make her voice heard.
Why she probably ran for the election.
Oh, there she is.
Liu Gaoxing, thank you very much for...
They are so happy to see foreigners because they know
我就是一个普
the
通农
only
民，
way
知
how
道
to get
选
protected.
举被选举是我这个权利。
Talking
另外一个
to
呢，就是
foreigners.
我想作为一个打电话就能找到这个人大
Basically, she wanted to be a delegate.
代表，所以我就是承诺是，如果我作为人大代表的话，选民只要用电话就能找到我。
She's saying that people can reach me by phone. Yeah, if I
我的
get
房子被
elected.
She lost.
强制。
She lost. She wasn't elected.
Oh, what a surprise!
Of course. Yes.
Well, here she's saying that her house was demolished by force, and this sometimes happens in Chinese construction business.
They force you out.
Yeah, they try different methods.
开了，也是促使我想来竞选人大代表的原因之一。
Hardened her
身边
resolve,
也有
though.
很多和我一样的遭遇的这个农民，所以呢，我也想来帮助他们。
Democracy would be a disaster for China.
She's
It
so
would be chaos.
nice. I like her so
What do you
much.
say to that?
Yeah, I mean,
这种说法我不同意，
seems
因为我觉着民主的话会让中国更好。
I guess.
民主
So sad.
让老百姓能
Makes
来
me
把
very
自己
sad.
的这个就说不满的一面和满意的一面都说出来。
She's saying that democracy should or allows people to say whether they're satisfied or not. Yeah, China will be
才
better
能让
this
中
way.
国能发展的更好。
Hopefully.
And tell me what it was
Well,
like
yes.
during those
Yeah.
days before the election when you had people permanently outside this home watching you, following you, that large group preventing you from coming out and the media being able to talk to you. What did that feel like?
这个问题不说了吧，
I don't want to answer
You
this
don't- you'd rather
这
question.
个
not
问
talk
题
about
不要
that.
说了，因为这个事儿
She cannot.
不要再说
She
了。
doesn't
It would
want
be
to.
risky for you to answer that question.
是，
Yeah.
所以我不想再
She'll
说
be
这个问
punished.
题。
I understand. There'll be elections again, of course, in another
She's so
5
brave.
years. Will you try to stand again?
5年之后会，
So she does.
没
She
准5年
did
以
try
后我
to
会选上
stand
的，
again.
有可能会被选上的，这个都
No.
不一定呢。
She will never win. Never.
Unless she's no longer a threat. Or,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
谢谢，
Yeah. Take care.
No, she will never win.
再见。
Bye bye.
I mean, not under these circumstances. Yeah. So as she was saying, every 5 years, people can try to stand as independent candidates across China.
Look at the millions of candidates.
These low-level
So
elections.
many. What does many mean? We don't know. What many? 10? 20?
Huh? Yeah, it's a good
Out
question.
of millions?
What is ironic to me is that China uses this as a kind of a proof that we have democracy as well. People can stand for elections. Yes, but sometimes
Not really.
they're prevented from being able to do that.
Yes, very, very sad. So when we talk about this picking quarrels, sounds something very strange called this criminal law, picking quarrels. But in China, you can see people quarreling everywhere.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Just last week I talked with a friend of mine, and he told me women in this city, there's something wrong with their head, their logic. It's not straight, They are very
That's his
illogical.
opinion, but
No,
maybe it's
knew
based on
exactly
something.
what he was talking about. I knew exactly what he was talking about. The logic is not straight. So naming the law picking quarrels makes actually sense because people quarrel everywhere, except it's not a crime. Quarreling is not a crime in normal countries. In China it is. Or it could be. It could be a crime, right?
Yeah.
Like
I see.
yeah, do you have this video about this Chinese woman on the train that took someone else's seat to see how the logic works? Because I would like to demonstrate not only how the logic of Chinese people women work.
Okay.
But
Here we have
actually,
it.
police, when you talk to the police, they can use very similar logic. Like this woman is using on this train from Hunan to Guangdong, and she's arguing with the train staff when she's asked to move because she bought a train ticket for different seats, just like on a plane, right?
I mean, that happens, you know. That happened to me as well, and I wasn't arguing with anyone. Yeah, I mean, what's like?
No, nothing wrong. She's just sitting in the wrong seat.
Okay, so she asking, you know, what's the problem?
有问题啊，你坐在别人的位置。
Oh yeah, so this is this a supervisor or is this the customer?
It's train staff. The
Oh,
people
okay,
working
okay.
on it.
Who says? Well, someone.
Yeah, who says?
According to the ticket. Yeah.
She's
This is my seat. Who told you that? Who says I'm in someone else's seat? It seems like they're going back and forth.
这个位置不是我的呀。这上面写了过道吗？
So she's like she's yeah getting.
Who says I can't sit here? Now another logic.
She,
Who says I can't?
well, you know the ticket that you bought. You know, if it's someone else's seat, then
It's like you get stopped by the police for crossing a red light, and you ask like, who says I cannot cross on the red light?
good.
Oh, you know.
It's
Same.
it's a not comparison.
小姐可以坐啊。你的位置就坐你的位置嘛。你把
Blame the sign. So the signs on the train are wrong. Then how did she get in the seat in the first place?
这个位置呢？过道呢？你把身份证过来拿过来，你这不讲道理吧？对不对？明明写了10D 嘛，位置嘛。
Unreasonable.
Yeah.
Unreasonable.
The ticket said I shouldn't be in the aisle seats. But obviously, you know, the C does have a different letter. Then you know they can't have the same letter.
你的位置坐你的位置，你坐别人的位置干什么？这是另外一个人的位置啦。
It's someone else's seat. Yeah.
你坐这里了，这个位置是别人的了。
She just wanted to sit next to the window.
凭什么这里写了啦，妹子？
You can see the person behind her laughing a little bit by now. Then you should write it somewhere else.
谁推的这么大美？
Because this is China. He's just having love.
Yeah. He gets that. He gets that. It's
nothing.
ridiculous.
It's everywhere like this. And what I'm trying to say, police is arguing the same way as this woman is arguing.
Well, I mean, the police are people too. I mean, they have or should have some training for these situations, but you know, at the end of the day, they can still behave the same way.
这里边不是让这人坐的，为什么你就不能啊？
Everyone follows the sign, and then go and talk to them.
Talk to them.
And she didn't move.
the sign.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
She
Wow.
didn't.
So she was fined 200 yuan and from buying tickets. Way to go. Yeah. I mean, just.
She lost some credits. She just lost it. She just lost it. People. It's also part of the problem is the mental health. So people just lose it. It's like you are losing your face. You don't want to back off.
Maybe.
And it's like you are proving yourself. You are just training yourself, you know, because for another situation that can appear maybe another time. So this how the people communicate. So there are lots of quarrels. And for the police, for example, just to oppose them, saying you are picking quarrels, that's it. They don't have to explain anymore.
Obviously sparked a lot of comments online, you know, basically saying that what she was doing was kind of stupid. Yeah.
This video was how it is in China. They were trying to, setting example of her, for other people.
Maybe. Yeah, could be. So, obviously, it's a ridiculous example, but it's something that can happen. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, okay. Now this is something a little more serious. Yeah, because this is a video leaked apparently from 2005 from a Chinese shooting range, which was enforcing the death penalty or carrying out the death penalty.
Public executions.
Yes.
It's like a tradition in China.
Well, let me play it. Yeah. Let me.
Please.
Yeah.
你可以给你儿累积就好，等他成年以后这个带子回去再看。
为啥要让他看？
我知道你刚才那个国防方面讲到那个事儿，讲到那个。
They have to put these placards or writings on these people. What for? For shaming them?
This looks like something from the Cultural Revolution, but I wonder if this always happened or if this was some.
Always. It always happens, but what for?
So it's obvious.
So they wouldn't shoot the wrong person?
I don't know. She's basically complaining that China's not a country of laws.
These people must be sedated. I don't understand. How can she be
question.
so quiet?
Yeah. I mean,
they must be sedated.
Huh.
Look at her. Actually, she is a real criminal.
Yes.
She killed them.
I mean,
she killed somebody.
有啥讲的？已经到这个地步了，说啥有啥用？不很苍白？我不后悔。
So
she's saying that China is a country of no law, and
okay, here you can, it really does show what something. I mean, what they're supposed to be guilty of. I wonder who leaked this or how this got leaked.
Well, somehow, because they take videos for the police record.
Yeah, I imagine so.
They have to take these videos just to show that everything was done the right way.
Yeah, I mean,
why does it have to be a mass execution? Why can't we just execute them one by one?
Well, because it's faster, and it's it's a stronger show of force, I suppose.
The estimated number of executions in this century declined from 12,000 each year to like 2,400. In 2007, still like 8,000 people been executed in China. Last year, China executed officially 1,000 people, but probably the number is at least 2,000. But still, China is the country with the highest number of executions. China executes every year more people than the rest of the world combined. Does it mean, my question, does it mean that Chinese people are the worst people in the world? Does it mean that Chinese people commit most crimes?
Yes, that's, that's a good question. Here we can see the numbers, and this is from 2019 report by Amnesty International, right? So it positions China well above, let's say, Iran, Saudi Arabia, with China having had over 1,000 elections. Sorry, not elections, executions.
Execution. But actually, it's much higher than 1,000. It's probably 2,000 at least.
Good question, yeah.
And it already declined, right? So how is it? It says something about the Chinese law, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Awful.
Yeah.
Shocking. China actually, to speed up the executions or make it cheaper, uses so-called execution van, a mobile execution unit.
They did have these, where they would, I imagine they would give the person a lethal injection or something.
Yes. So they started using it in 1997. So basically the prisoner is strapped to a stretcher and executed inside a van. The van allows death sentences to be carried out without moving the prisoner to an execution ground.
Yeah.
Just to save money. So let's save money.
Here is another video. This is from Radio Free Asia, which is supposed to show an execution. It kind of does that, and I'm curious why this is in such a public place. I mean, this was, you know, in an enclosed courtyard somewhere on prison grounds, I would imagine. But this is just weird.
A crowd assembles on a hillside in rural China when a convoy of police vehicles drives in. Then, a man with a placard hanging
Why do
around
they have
his
to go
neck
outside of the
is led
prison?
out of a van
I don't get it.
and toward the execution grounds.
See here, he is also carrying some kind of a placard.
RFA could not verify the authenticity of this video, but it claims to show a public execution. The video has been viewed more than 2 million times since it was first posted on a Chinese video sharing site.
Well, straight to the grave? I really don't get this.
Last November. Chinese authorities do not report the number of executions, but China is believed to execute more people than any other country.
But we have the sources probably at the beginning in 1998.
I want to mention here one thing that organ harvesting from executed Chinese prisoners. So there was a Chinese army doctor that testified at the United States Congressional Committee in 2001. And his name was Wang Guoqi. That time he was 38 years old. So he defected from China. And he was saying that he was the one who was removing skins and corneas from the bodies of many people. He said more than 100 executed prisoners in China between 1989 to 1995 that where he participated. And basically these organs were sold to not only to Chinese people, but also people from India, Philippines, Russia, and anybody who wanted to purchase organs. China was making money.
That's the sickening part. Yeah.
Yes.
And maybe understand that there might have been a lack of available organs in China, but this is
the court officials were getting paid $40 for every prisoner that he and their colleagues of the official were allowed this prisoner to be stripped of organs.
Because
so they were paying money right and left.
This kind of incentivizes the whole procedure. If you catch my drift, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
From that we have you know, these kinds of publications like the Bloody Harvest, you know, which was specifically the harvesting of Falun Gong prisoners.
Yeah. So this doctor said after a prisoner was shot in the back of the head, transplant surgeons rushed to remove the liver, kidneys, cornea, and other organs either in an ambulance or at the execution site or at the crematory. Dr. Wang's job was to remove skin for eventual transplant to burn victims. He said it usually took 20 minutes or less to remove all the skin from a body, all the skin, leaving an ugly heap of muscles, the blood vessels still bleeding, or all viscera exposed.
I understand.
It's like a horror movie.
Yeah,
It's like a horror movie. The skin was processed and chilled for use in later transplants. Patients were charged 100 yuan for each 10 square centimeters of skin. But at some point, Dr. Wang said he stopped taking part in the organ harvesting after October 1995, when he witnessed the doctor remove the kidneys from a man who was still breathing. The man had been shot in the head, but not killed, at an execution in Hebei province. When asked whether the man should be shot again, people from the court said it was not necessary because the man would die after the organ harvest anyway. See the logic? See the logic?
Why were they shooting him in the first place?
Yeah, it's like the doctor asked, listen, I'm afraid that this person, after I remove his organs, will run away. No, he will die. Don't worry about that. No, he wasn't asking about that. He was saying that it's inhuman. It's inhuman when this person is still feeling, is still alive, to remove his organs.
Understand. Yeah.
What's wrong with these people? So
maybe today.
So then one time he said his colleague were proceeding to slice the skin of a man in the execution van, right? But he left the job half done because he heard some voices of the outside the ambulance in which they were working, and he feared that the man's family members might have found them and could attack.
I see.
Because there were people, the relatives came to witness the execution, and meanwhile they were just working on this man in the van illegally, but nobody knew what was going to happen to this guy. So they were afraid they would be attacked. So they just ran away.
Wow.
Lots of terrible stories like this.
Yeah. I mean,
all right, so do we have another video there?
we have this is I'll on a lot more humorous note. This is from what might have been the first Chinese New Year, the Lunar New Year TV program. The so-called TV gala. So let's have a look. I think they released a song here. Kind of a performance. Everyone's happy, I'm happy.
It looks like a very traditional song.
Yes, it does. It does.
Look, she's wearing a long skirt.
I mean,
every
it's
inch
on
of
TV.
skin is covered. Yeah, she looks very graceful.
Yes.
Wow. Excellent. Very traditional song.
Right. But what was the reaction of the TV censors?
This song from Li Guyi was called like a voice of, she was called like a voice of extravagance and something like enlightenment. People were criticizing her. Like they're like it's like a very extravagant, and they were calling her like a yellow voice.
The word yellow here is used because the color yellow in Chinese language is oftentimes associated with something a little bit lewd, maybe perverted or pornographic. It sounds funny when you watch it now.
This is so funny. This is so funny.
I don't get it. Was this because this was the first time, that some big program was aired on TV and, the TV censor didn't know how to respond to this?
This is 1983. And this year is like marked as the year of big changes, like the people, like a lot of changes in the law and trends were started changing. Before this year, people, like 2 young people, couldn't walk on the street holding hands, not even kissing or anything like that. So there was the first gala show, first ever, because on Chinese New Year's Eve, so-called
Spring Festival Eve, Chuxi.
Spring Festival. Everybody in China, everybody sits in front of the TV and watches this show for 2.5 hours.
Well, not so much anymore, but at that time, this was definitely the prime entertainment.
Oh, still, where would they go? Where would they go? I mean, it's not like you go outside to a restaurant. No, everything is closed. Everybody's home with the family. It's True. Like Christmas and New Year combined. So everybody's watching. At midnight, there is like, welcome the New Year of the Dragon or whatever. And 12:30, everybody goes to bed. Right? This is like all of the China, yeah? So it was the first time. And because the people were asking for Li Gui, they were asking to see her see her song in the show.
Yeah, so this did become popular. I mean, keep in mind that this was 7 years after Chairman Mao's death. After the country has just sort of started to bounce back from the Cultural Revolution and from all the horrors of the previous years. So the 1980s were kind of, in a certain sense, seen as this not reinventing, but rediscovering, of things that were kind of not shown before. Let's put it that way. Eventually, culminating in struggles for democracy, ending with the Tiananmen massacre in 1989.
Yes, it was 7 years after Mao's death and 6 years before the Tiananmen massacre.
Yeah. So this is just around the middle of the road, so to speak.
Yes, exactly. So China was just about to get somewhere, just leaving behind all these traditions, maybe people's marriages in the cities were not arranged already, but in the countryside, people still live like before.
Yes, I mean, even after decades of socialism, in the 1980s, China was probably still a lot more agricultural and a lot more traditional than it is now. Because this movement of people to the cities and to the factories could really only happen after people would be able to buy food somewhere and be more free to move around, after they would stop having food be rationed and issued based on food stamps.
Yeah.
Well,
China still didn't have a picking quarrels and provoking trouble. It came in 1997, but China had something else.
You mentioned there was the hooliganism law, and in 1983 we already see one case. Well, we see one striking case where this law was applied. Let's have a look here. Here we have the lady called Xia.
Xia? And she was, how many years was she sentenced to in prison for hooliganism?
Well, she she was the first person to be executed for hooliganism.
Well, she was one of the last, I would say.
Okay, well,
Yeah, 1983 was just dying out, right? So she was one of the last person executed. Yeah. There were many people executed for hooliganism. What it meant? Well, she was dating too many boyfriends, not at the same time.
was that an excuse or was that her sentence?
She was sentenced. She was 35 years old. And they said that in her life, she dated 18 boyfriends.
Wow.
That's it. That's it. She
Totally
didn't do
way over the
anything
line.
bad.
What
Yeah.
the hell? Okay, here's another picture. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, you can see that these kinds of women's rights, in spite of what you were mentioning, China obviously, celebrating
These are the 5
International
women that
Women's
were arrested.
Day as part of traditional socialist holidays.
Yeah, these are the 5 women that were arrested. For what? For protesting or asking for protesting against the violence against women.
Yeah, they were charged by this time, I believe, exactly with what we were talking about, picking quarrels and provoking trouble.
Yeah.
So
Fortunately, they weren't sentenced to death.
yeah,
But if these women were arrested before 1983, they would be executed.
yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. So Jai Manshia was shot.
Yeah.
For what?
Well,
For not being married. For just dating. Actually, what sparked her arrest was that somebody saw her swimming in the river, and they were claiming that she was swimming naked. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not sure, but
I see.
that's what they said. And then she got arrested, and you know how it is in China. If you get arrested, they look into you and they will find other things against you.
It's possible. I mean,
So
once an arrest is made, the police. I don't know about that time, but now when they issue an arrest warrant, they do it because they feel like they have a solid case that they can try you on.
Yeah, another thing, during this time, because the Chinese official skits were also punished, because you can just imagine that if your father was a high official, the kids were out of control. They were breaking the law right and left. So they had to be set examples, so the officials would start
That still
disciplining their
happens.
own kids. So 1983 was so bad that many of the children that were imprisoned or even executed were children of the high-ranking officials.
I see.
Yeah. Jai Manshia, she believed she was innocent until the end.
I mean,
She said
this obviously this is a ridiculous case. This is why it deserves a mention.
so shameful. China should be so ashamed of these times.
Yeah, but
So ashamed.
the people now might regard these times, and not just these, but the generations that are still alive. They might have been young, let's say during the Cultural Revolution. So, people want to reminisce on the good times of their youth, and to ignore all the terrible things that have happened.
I feel like when we are talking about 1983 incidents or events, It's like we are talking about 19th century or 18th century or Middle Ages. But it was only 40 years ago.
That's a good point, yes.
40 years ago.
Yeah.
That's so shocking, just recently. Also says that what changes China went through, China changed a lot. But on the other hand, China changed something. China doesn't execute women for having more boyfriends. But
good. What such progress?
Yeah, that's the main progress, I would say.
So no, I mean, obviously Chinese society has become a lot more civil. The interesting thing about the 1980s is, that there was this kind of a curve, more freedom after everyone wanted more freedom after the horrors of the Cultural Revolution, but eventually it culminated with the government again cracking down on democracy activists in 1989. So
China was influenced by the West. China didn't change because wanted to. China just changed some things because had to change, because it would look always like a backwards country.
So China, yes and no. I mean, I'm sure in the 1980s, the people really wanted change, but wasn't quite wasn't allowed to go all the way. Let's put it that way.
They couldn't make Chinese people rich at the same time tell them, no, you can only date one girl or one boyfriend, and they get married. You cannot hold hands in public. You cannot kiss in public. They couldn't. So they had to change the law.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
So China was indirectly forced. China didn't do something because it was good. It was right thing to do. China did it because they had to. They were forced, indirectly forced, to change some laws.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that, yeah.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Jamanxia was one of the last victims of this terrible, awful, not only the communist regime, but also this kind of like a mixture of traditional communist society that just...
Yes, people living according to what what society dictated for others previously, and enforced by strong state rules, by communist state rules. So so some things have changed for the better, and but again, like I said, some things have changed for the worse. I mean, you could argue that maybe the 1980s were more open in certain aspects than they are now, than China is now.
Right. Okay, I think we can end this podcast in memory of this innocent girl, Jamanxia.
Let's do that.
Who was executed by the Chinese,
that seems
terrible
fair.
Chinese regime. They hang a placard on her neck before she was shot. She said, "Love is innocent. I died pursuing freedom and pursuing my ideals. I am not wrong."
It's true.
She wasn't wrong, and the communists were wrong. So let's end here.
All right. Well, this has been this has shown me a lot of things that I haven't seen before either.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks for thanks for being here. So let's see what we can discuss next time.
Okay, talk to you soon.
All right, take care, Trabant. See you.
Okay,
bye.
See you.